All right, hello everyone. My name is Zoe Holland. I'm the academic librarian here at Tuzzy Consortium Library at Ilisagavik College, and I'd like to welcome you to the LS101 course, or rather the Librarian Information and Research course. So I am going to take a moment now to pull up the land acknowledgement. Ilisagavik College would like to acknowledge that we live and work on the land of the Inupiat. We are unapologetically Inupiaq, and we honor the people, culture, animals, land, and ocean. All right. So I'm going to bring you back to our My Campus page. This course is going to be entirely online. We are going to be introducing you to effective library research methods and principles of information organization and retrieval. And we're going to make sure that you actually get some experience doing that. By the end of this course, one of the things you will be producing is a full works cited page. And we want to make sure that you understand all of the resources that we have here at Tuzzy Consortium Library, like our catalogs, our journal indexes, and the internet resources we have available. And we're just going to give you some basic foundations on how to do some research, especially here. There's going to be a bunch of basic information here where the cursor is circling, and I'll go over that a bit more when we get to the actual syllabus. And again, you are under no obligation to physically come to the library. This is an online course. I do want to say that you're very welcome to come here if you're out at Gnarl or if you live in Utqiagvik. Feel free to come say hi. Every week I'm going to be posting video lectures for you here on the My Campus page. And I'm also going to have you reading through some required articles, looking through some infographics possibly, watching other videos, and generally providing other resources for you. And every week there are going to be assignments for you to complete. And I'm also going to be including some supplementary material. This is stuff that I couldn't fit directly into the course, largely because this is indeed a 1-credit course, and so it shouldn't be too overwhelming. Let me know if it does get to that point. So everything that's going to show up in the supplementary folders, they are not required. You do not have to watch them or do them. However, everything that is in the required readings and videos folder and all of the assignments, you do have to do. This week, I'm also going to have you do a short discussion post so that you can tell me and the rest of the class who you are, what you're studying, what you're interested in getting out of this class. And I'm also going to be interested in asking for your preference on whether you want to cite your sources using the MLA format or the APA format. If you're very special, you might want to do Chicago format, but I don't think that there are any classes at the moment at Ilisagavik that are going to prioritize that. So let me know. I'll get into that a bit more in a bit. Discussion post this week is going to count towards your participation grade. And I just noted that in that discussion post, I want to know what your goals for the class are. My goals for this course is that you come out feeling confident in your ability to find and evaluate relevant information and to actually accurately credit whatever sources you discover. And again, we are supposed to be focusing on the MLA format. If you want APA format, let me know. So to prepare for all of that, this week we'll be discussing what constitutes plagiarism, how to avoid it, and also broader subjects like intellectual freedom and how libraries support that freedom. Okay, again, we have a bunch of information up here. We have a cute comic down here, which I would say is accurate to a lot of librarians. My job while I was getting my graduate degree was essentially organizing messy bookshelves, and I really enjoyed that. Okay. Below the comic, which I have cited, you're going to find links to the syllabus, to potential future announcements. I don't think that's going to be visible for you yet because we don't have any announcements at this point. If we do, I will put them there and you will also receive an email from me. We're also going to have some examples of research papers and topics that you can use if you need some inspiration. And I've also provided you with some citation guides. And you're free to look at any of those. Again, these are not something that is required, but they could be helpful in the future. So now I'm going to go ahead and open up this syllabus. Again, this is LS101. It is the first session of spring 2024. I might be reusing this recording, so maybe you're in the second session. If so, welcome. This first session is going to be February 19th through March 22nd. And the last I heard, the last date you have to drop this is going to be February 23rd. Make sure to double check that with registration if you think that's going to happen for you, and also make sure to reach out to your academic advisors because they're going to want to be in on the loop, especially since this is required for quite a few of the degree tracks. So make sure you're checking in with them so you know what's going on as in the lead up to graduation. This is a 1-credit class with no prerequisites. I am indeed Zoe Holland. My email is zoe.holland@tussey.org. And I provided you with 2 phone numbers. The first is to Tussey's main line. If you need to, you can call them directly and ask any questions you may have. If you have something more directly related to the class, you can either call the main line and ask them to direct you to me, or you can just use my direct line, which is right there. I am also going to have office hours on Zoom on Thursdays from 1 to 3 or by appointment. I'm very open to if you need another time, because that time doesn't work for you for whatever reason. Feel free to shoot me an email or call and we can set up something in case you need to ask questions. These are, of course, optional, and you're very, very welcome to just pop in, say hi, introduce yourself, and then say bye. And we have the course catalog description again, and our course outcomes. Upon completion of this course, students will be able to interact familiarly with library services and library website, develop research problem-solving strategies, understand the use of print, electronic, and internet resources, locate desired informational resources, be familiar with legal considerations of utilizing resources, be familiar with citation methods with a particular emphasis on MLA format. Now, I was talking to a couple of professors over the weekend, and they were saying that they were both using the APA format. So I am going to, again, ask you to put in the discussion post this week which of those you would prefer. Feel free to consult with your professors if you're not sure which you should be prioritizing. If nothing else, this may become a course where we end up focusing on both. Usually citations contain the same information, but it's organized differently. So depending on which one you choose, you have to choose one and stick with it. And I might be introducing you to both. Again, it's going to depend on what you tell me in that discussion board. There is no textbook for this class. That's why it's so important to go into that required readings and videos folder and go through everything that's there. I will be posting that as well as the lectures and other resources on my campus no later than 12 noon on Monday each week for the duration of the course. In order to successfully participate in this online course, use course materials, and complete course activities, you will need internet access, a computer with a browser, and Adobe PDF Reader. If you have another way of reading PDFs, that's fine. Just make sure that you're able to do it. Please plan accordingly. So we have 3 things that I'm going to be grading you across throughout this course. The first is participation. You are required to participate in this course. It is going to be worth 10 points per week, which is going to be 10% of your final grade. I'm going to be going through and making sure all that math adds up later this week. You will either get the full 10 points or 0 points each week, no exception and no partial credit. And there are 3 ways that you can demonstrate your participation. One is to log into the course and review each week's materials. On my end, I'm able to see what you're viewing and when you're accessing stuff, so I'm going to get a feeling for that, and I'm also going to notice through the quality of your work whether or not the material is being accessed and then being internalized. You can also participate in weekly discussion boards and other non-assignment tasks when applicable. So this week we do have that discussion post, and that is going to count as your participation this week, in addition to making sure that you're actually accessing things. And you can also attend office hours. If for whatever reason you're having problems interacting with the course, whether that's a My Campus issue or maybe the links I put there are dead for whatever unfortunate reason. Hopefully they won't be. They're quite fresh. But please do let me know, and that will help count your participation. And if you have questions about anything else as well, like what the content of the course material is, what I'm expecting in the assignments, what I'm going to be expecting eventually on the final exam, please do reach out. And I will also be grading your assignments. Weekly assignments must be completed as part of the course. Students are highly encouraged to work ahead. Assignments are going to be worth 60% of your final grade. Again, I will be double checking that math just to make sure it all adds up correctly. Weekly assignments for the first 4 weeks are going to be available on My Campus for the duration of the course. Yes, so once I post on that Monday of the week, from then on, you are going to continue to be able to access it. They are going to be due the following Sunday at 11:59 p.m. I do have a course schedule below that we'll be going over so that you can see each date that the weekly assignment is due. Assignments do build on each other and should be completed in the order that they're given. And they need to be typed and submitted via My Campus. Handwritten submissions are not going to be accepted, largely because of the way that My Campus works, but also not all of you are here in Utqiagvik, or you're not making your way out to the library, so make sure that you're submitting them online. I will be, once you turn your assignments in on time, I'll grade them and return them to you. If you turn it in on time, but I've given you feedback and you don't like the grades that you've been given for that, you can resubmit for additional points by the last day of class. And that's what I mean by the assignments are going to be available for the duration of the course. From the time that they're posted, they will be available that entire time. And if you submit the original assignment on time, then you can come back and improve the grade, and if you desire to. And that will create an opportunity for additional practice of the skills being taught in this class, and could also bump your grade up, potentially. If you believe you will be turning in an assignment late, or if you have an emergency come up that prevents you from turning it in on time, contact me, let me know. I am very interested and eager to make sure that you excel in this class, and I don't want to dock you points if I do not have to, but I can only grade what's available for me to turn in. So keep me informed, we can usually work something out. If you don't contact me about anything, late assignments can be reduced up to 5 points per day past the due date, unless, again, you have that written arrangement with me made before the deadline. The last day for you to submit assignments to this course is going to be March 22nd by 11:59 p.m. That is the final day that I will be accepting anything. The assignments, the exams, the discussion posts, make sure they're all done by that point. The final exam I'm going to be making available on My Campus by 12 noon on Friday, March 15th. The exam must be, again, completed and submitted by Friday, March 22nd at 11:59 p.m. It's going to be open book, open notes. You can use any of the lecture material or readings to assist you in successfully completing this exam. You will need internet access to be able to complete it, so make sure that you have that and are planning accordingly. And again, I cannot accept anything past that deadline of March 22nd at 11:59 p.m. Here you can see the distribution of grades. You have 10% for participation, 60% for assignments, and 30% for the final exam. Anything above 90% is going to be an A, above 80% will be a B, up until 89%, and so on. And here we have the course schedule. There may be times where I have to change up a few things. I'm hoping not. It is a short course, but in case something comes up, I will again put it in the announcements and I will email you about it so you know what's changed. I will promise you that I will never move up a due date, but I might push them back. Again, it's very unlikely, but there's that potential. So keep an eye on your email. And yeah. So this is the general outline of what we're going to be studying each week and what is going to be due assignment-wise. With, again, that last week being making sure that you get all your assignments in and that you get your assignments and the exam turned in by March 22nd, 11:59. So, in a course about plagiarism, please don't plagiarize. Plagiarism in this and other classes at Elisagovic means that you are submitting someone else's words and or ideas without attribution as if they were your own. This is a pretty big deal when it comes to academia, so please make sure that you are not doing it. That is going to manifest as making sure that you're not copying anyone's work, you're not presenting it as your own, and it can result in you failing the assignment, getting a mark on your transcripts, or possibly being suspended or expelled. So there can be quite severe consequences for this if you're caught, and there are more and more sophisticated ways of catching you, just as there are more and more sophisticated ways of potentially plagiarizing. So don't do it. Okay, and this is our last page. So please reach out to Student Services if you have or think you may have a disability or you anticipate any barriers to learning in this course that may affect your work or attendance in this class and feel you need accommodations. You can find their number listed there. And we have information down below about Title IX as well as Wellness at Elisagovic to cap it all off. It's the same verbiage that you'll find in all Elisagovic class syllabi, but it is important information, so make sure you read through it at your leisure and have access to it whenever you need. Again, we're going to have this syllabus linked at the top of our My Campus page underneath the comic, right there where it's highlighted. All right, so that does wrap up the syllabus. Once you finish watching this video, I want you to go directly to the discussion below it in My Campus and introduce yourself. Make sure that you are including who you are, what you're studying, and what you're hoping to gain for this class, including whether or not you are more interested in focusing on the MLA format or the APA format of citation. When you're done with that, go ahead and move on to the next lecture about information, intellectual freedom, and plagiarism. See you there.